Hey guys, so today I'm gonna show you how to fillet a fish. This is a video that I've been thinking about doing for a long time actually. Never really got around to it, but today I had a pretty good fishing day. Ended up getting a nice sheep's head, 4 or 5 nice keeper snapper, and then a few trout. I figured since I got all this fish, let's do a video on how to actually fillet a fish. A lot of you wonder and ask how do you fillet a fish. We're gonna do a few different examples. Okay, so we're gonna start with a 14.5-inch sheep's head, which is actually a pretty good size sheep's head. If you fillet a fish that's bigger, it tends to be easier and you get more meat out of it. Since your first time filleting, you're probably not gonna get all that much meat out of a fish. So before you fillet your first fish, you need to understand a bit about this fish. For example, a sheep's head has some very thick scales. You're not going to be cutting through these scales with the knife. It's not going to happen. So you angle your knife back a little bit, and you can get actually in between those scales. And the skin's very soft, right? So the skin cuts through no problem. But angle your knife a little bit, and you're actually going to get in between. Always cut towards the head. Almost do a semicircle around, because there's a lot of meat just above the head that a lot of people miss out, and they just do a straight cut. Always follow that up to the head. Okay, so next up you're going to turn your knife and you're going to follow the backbone just like I'm doing. So stick the knife in to where you made the incision and follow that backbone down. Once you follow down a good bit, you can carefully press it out, making sure you stick close to that backbone, and you can actually free the back of the fish pretty good. Okay, so next up we're going to turn our knife the other way and we're just going to free a bit of meat. I mean, pretty much the simplest way I can explain it, you're just trying to free the meat from the fish. And so it's pretty self-explanatory, to be honest, right? You're just going to stay close to that backbone and keep freeing meat and take it slow. It's not a big deal to spend 10 minutes filleting a fish if it's your first time. Hell, you could spend 20 minutes filleting it, and you're just going to keep freeing meat just like I'm doing. I'm doing it very slow to make sure that you understand. And then here comes the most vital part, which is cutting above the rib cage. These sheep's head have very solid ribs. You're not going to be able to cut through them. So you got to cut above them, and you got to cut as close as you can to the rib cage. So you actually get, because there's actually a little bit of meat that you can get off that rib cage. Okay, so pretty simple. We're just going to free that first incision just a little bit so we get some room to work with. And now we're going to take our knife, turn it again, and we're going to carefully cut above these rib bones. Again, do this slow if it's your first time so that you can kind of study how this works. You're going to pop through 4 or 5 bones right here, small bones. These are pin bones. Pin bones exist in pretty much every single fish. You're not going to get rid of them. You have to cut them out after you fillet the fish. But this is pretty much your fillet at this point. Now, it's probably not going to look like this if it's your first time. If you fillet, say, 350 fish, yeah, you might get a pretty good fillet going. Okay, so next up we got a snapper. This is a nice snapper too. This is about a 14.5-inch snapper, about the same size as the sheep's head. It's a mangrove snapper. These snappers are pretty similar to the sheep's head in that they have very thick scales. You're not going to be able to cut through them just like the sheep's head. Okay, so these snapper are a bit thicker. It's easier to get a good sized chunk out of them than it is with the sheep's head. Okay, so pretty much it's the same process here with the snapper. Not really anything that you need to change. Just study what I'm doing and try to replicate it as good as you can, but go slow. I'm gonna fillet one of these small snapper, and I'm gonna do it sort of my normal pace, so you see the kind of pace that you're gonna hit after you fillet, say, 2,000 or 3,000 times. You won't make any mistakes at this point, and you'll be going pretty smooth and at a fairly good pace. Okay, so that's how I would fillet a snapper given, a normal pace. Don't think of it as intimidating. It shouldn't be, and you should just take your time in the beginning. Okay, so now we got our fillets. We got several fillets from several different fish, but these fillets, we have to take the skin off. The scales are very thick. You're not gonna cook these scales. You can actually cook it with the scales on. I don't like to do that. Pretty simple too. You're gonna keep that cutting board close to the edge of, say, a counter, so you get some more room for your hand and your knife as you start to skin these fillets. You're gonna cut a little incision at the end of that fillet, and you're gonna press your thumb there. You're gonna have something to grip onto. And so just start with pressing your thumb and holding that fillet solid. And you're just gonna lightly stick the knife in, and you're gonna cut down towards the skin side, not too hard because you're gonna cut through. And you're just gonna pretty much slide your knife down that fillet and follow it all the way through. This is not hard to do. It looks kind of hard and kind of elegant, but it's really not. I mean, this is the easiest part of filleting a fish, is taking the skin off, hands down. So pretty much this is gonna be your skinned out, perfect fillet. So the most important tip for cleaning or filleting your first fish, take it slow. There's no rush, there's no bell, nobody's timing you to do this. The fish is gonna stay cold for another half hour. So just take your time, do what makes sense to you, do it enough times and you'll get really good at it. And it's a good skill to have, actually, to know how to fillet fish. Okay, so that's pretty much it for this video. Thank you for watching. I've wanted to make this video for a while, just haven't gotten around to it. Pretty simple video to make, and I'll see you guys next time, so thank you.